Good evening. Welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live, and tonight is episode 153. My guests for this evening are Lightwater and WILCO. They've worked together for about 8 years, and they hope to inspire love and unity within their music. In 2021, they released their debut single, Born and Raised. Their latest single, Bold, was released in January. So they are going to hop in here shortly. We're going to have a great interview. They are going to perform for us, and they will take your questions at the end of the show. So guys, where are you tuning in from this evening? And are you familiar with Lightwater and WILCO? Hello, hello. And happy March. It's Women's History Month. So yes, it's Women's History Month. So if you know strong women in your life, please go support them, say nice things to them. Women are amazing, and please, please, please support women-owned businesses, women musicians, anything that women are involved with, support that in the month of March, but also every single month of the year. Hello guys, how we doing? What music are you guys listening to? Let me know in the comments what music you guys have been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of my Discover Weekly on Spotify. It's just like a mix of like funk and soul, and I also love Silk Sonic, so yeah. And one half of Lightwater and WILCO is in the house, Sam WILCO. Hi guys. Are you guys doing anything fun this weekend? What are you guys up to? Hello, hello. No, seriously guys, tell me what music you're listening to. Let me know in the chat. And I also just pinned the comment to follow Lightwater and WILCO on DistroKid. So guys, do a screenshot of that. Don't go to the link now because they are in the house and they will be joining us momentarily. Whenever you guys are ready, come on in and join the live. And guys, if you have questions for Lightwater and WILCO, please hold them till the end of the interview and you can ask away in the comment section. That's the best part of the show, is asking questions at the end. Actually, no, the whole show was great, but... Okay, let me see if I can, hold on a second. Okay, see if that worked. If that didn't work, oh, hi guys.
Hello.
Hey.
How we doing?
All right, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. So I was just introducing you to the room, and I just want to say thank you guys for spending your Saturday with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. So let's just hop right into it. It's March, and that means it's Women's History Month. So guys, can you tell us about some women in your life that inspire you?
Whew. All of them. Grandmothers. Most of the matriarchs of my family are my mom, my aunt. I have an older sister. I have a wife. I have a daughter. Strong women is something I want to be around for real.
I would have to say my wife, Justin's wife, because without the two of them, we wouldn't be together.
Yep.
And my mom. My mom was a big part of why I am who I am, and my grandmother, for sure.
Yes, and it's so important to be around strong women.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So for people that don't know you guys or your story, Sam, tell us about how Justin's wife introduced you guys together and how that came about.
Well, she went to a church I was going to in Texas, and and I guess she was wanting Justin to kind of come to know God and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so she figured if she could get the two of us together with his love for music and my love for music, that maybe something would spark, and it did.
So she kind of was like the matchmaker between you guys.
He definitely was. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
to go a step further on that is he was looking to record some new music. I had recording set up of the music that I was already working on. So basically she invited him over to the house and we started working together, and it just clicked. And even though we don't necessarily always live in the same space, it's always definitely a collaboration.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it is about you guys that it's so easy to collaborate with one another?
Well, again, I would have to say it's the love for like good music, because at the core of all of this, regardless if it was Christian centered or anything else, it is our love for good music.
Absolutely. And just, I mean, beyond music, you know, this is my brother. We are brothers, even though we are not blood. And, you know, through this relationship and not only working with music, but helping me start my walk in faith is definitely like a big part of the glue, if you will, that holds us together.
So as far as being inspired by music, right? So music and faith are at the root of what you guys are about. Talk to us about the music that you guys enjoyed growing up and who you take your influences from.
So my father had an extensive vinyl collection when I was young. And so I have exposure to a lot of classic rock and a lot of things from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. As well as growing up in my own genre of music, the golden age of hip hop in the early 90s.
Right.
And the beauty of hip hop is that so much of the sampling and the break beats actually originate in a lot of that older music, a lot of the funk, a lot of the classic rock. So when we go to hear a new hip hop song that has a sample, then that makes us want to go back and dig for the origin of it and try to understand how that old music is actually powering this newer form. And so for me, that was the big connection for all the hip hop that I listened to, is not only to find the latest, greatest, the most unheard, the most amazing music, but then also kind of understand the creative aspect of it and where it came from.
Definitely.
For me, I grew up in church, and so I've been singing from before I can remember in church. So gospel music played a big part in my life earlier on. I think Boyz II Men was like the first R&B group that I ever heard. So it was like that early 90s R&B. And then I think the infomercials introduced like soft rock and 80s rock and all of that stuff. And it just kind of grew from there.
Okay, so Boyz II Men for you, Sam, and then talk to me about somebody, maybe other groups or other vocalists that inspired the musical journey for you.
Boyz II Men would have been the first group that I heard, but for me, my voice is it's not as soft necessarily as theirs. I have more like a power to my voice, and that came from emulating Cisco and Casey from Jodeci, all the powerhouse singers. I basically tried to do what they did, and that's how I got into singing.
Yeah, and I think 90s R&B was one of those times that music was so simple, but those guys can sing. Like, powerhouse dudes, right?
Yeah.
So Justin, you said classic rock, and then you also said 90s hip hop. So talk to me about some of those people that inspired you.
So a lot of folks don't know, let's say the era of, say, like NWA. NWA's music was written by two guys, Ice Cube being one of them, and then the other was the DOC. A lot of people don't know DOC kind of was in the background, but DOC is from Dallas. DOC is from my neck of the woods, and he had won a very classic hip-hop album in the late 80s called No One Can Do It Better, and it was really one of the first albums I ever owned. And his approach was a little different than some of the things that he was writing for, but he was a vocalist, he was an MC, he was He was powerful voice dude. And so when I heard DOC for the first time, I was like, I want to do that. I want to participate in rap like this. And then from that moment on, you know, I listened to a lot of Ice Cube. I listened to a lot of Public Enemy, very socially conscious music, very not anger driven per se, but really looking at society and the ills in society and trying to really voice a lot of that. So that's my music. I want to have message in my music, and that aspect of it is important. But as you go further forth in the 90s, you know, you can't get away from, you know, cats like the Wu-Tang Clan. You can't get away from cats like Method Man or Redman. You can't get away from folks from my end of the country in the South, like UGK or 8 Ball and MJG or Ghetto Boys. There's a lot of this stuff that we grew up on, Screwed Up Click, DJ Screw. So there's a multitude of influences, not only in hip hop, but once again, pointing back to a lot of the sampled music that helped create it to kind of really mold all those sounds together.
Yeah, and I love what you said about sampled music, because when you think of, I guess we could just throw 90s hip hop out there. You could talk about Dr. Dre, you could talk about Jay-Z, you could talk about all these guys. Sometimes you hear a song and you're like, I love that song. And then you look at the liner notes and you're like, oh my gosh, they sampled something from the Isley Brothers, or they sampled something from one hit wonder band in the 70s. And I love finding that out because it's so cool. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's so cool that they brought new life to this song with that sample.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to talk about the songwriting journey for both of you guys. When did both of you guys start songwriting?
So I started in high school. So all this early 90s hip hop is when I was in high school. And touring acts would come to town and the flyers would be circulating through the high school, and a group of friends, you know, we're young, hungry for that musical experience and going to those shows. You know, a place like Austin, where I grew up in my teenage years, is a music place. Like, there's plenty of venues. You're always going to see some live music there. So to really just witness a lot of that, as well as, you know, like Houston is huge too, for a lot of the music sound that comes from our region. So in those early days in high school in the early 90s, we saw that, and we wanted to be a part of it. We wanted to participate in it. So that's where the writing started. And right around the time we got out of high school, we formed our first group, Architectonics, of all groups. You know, it's been some years, so you got a group of guys who are just hungry for the genre, hungry for the experience, hungry for the sound. And, you know, when you start off, your first raps are not great. But it's just that you want to get better. You hear things and, man, it's like, I want to do it like that. And so it inspires you to keep pushing, keep writing, and get better.
So as far as songwriting for you, and when you started in high school, was it something you did daily, weekly, monthly? Like, what was that process like?
In the early days, it was daily. It was just like, put something on paper in a classroom when you're not really paying attention. And in between classes, you go see your buddies on the curb and be like, hey, listen to this. And then someone else doing the same thing. Hey, listen to this. And you're just bouncing these words and ideas, these little short bars off of each other. And that in itself really is the essence of hip hop. That is a lot of ways how it created, just guys in a circle, or a cipher as they used to call it, just bouncing off each other, learning, hearing, listening.
And how about for you, Sam?
Well, I used to write poetry a lot when I was in high school, and it's younger than that. And so I had a friend of mine, I went to a talent show with him, and he heard some of my poetry, and he was like, man, if you can write poetry like that, then you can write songs. And of course, I kind of shrugged it off. But when I got into the Army, and I was a part of my first little R&B group I was in, they were like, man, we need to come up with some original material. And so they put that on me. And so I started writing that. And then I think for me, the journey in songwriting grew from basic, like trying to write R&B songs, to trying to write like a rapper. So R. Kelly was doing a lot of that in the beginning, where he was kind of shifting that whole thing. And so I would do that same thing. I would try to, Jay-Z was my favorite rapper back then. So I would try to write my songs and sing them as if I was a rapper. And then that kind of like elevated all of it to, I basically started just writing to whatever I could get my hands on. And now it's expanded a bit, because I don't necessarily settle on the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know how to play instruments. So usually I'll hear a beat and then I'll get a melody in my head. And once I get that melody and I know that that is the melody for this song, then I'll try to either find a topic, or sometimes words will just start coming, and then I'll do it like that. But I always, unlike the early days, nowadays I test my lyrics to make sure that they are the words for the song and not just some words that go together.
And I love that you said you were trying to like emulate Jay-Z, because I think of like when Jay-Z first came out, I was like, wait, what? Like he was his songs like back in the day, like early Jay-Z, I was like, where did he come from? Like no one sounds like him, no one writes like him. And I think it's so good to have somebody look up to like that, and you're like, what an incredible storyteller, right?
Absolutely. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So Justin, talk to me about your songwriting currently. How has it evolved over time?
Well, you know, the nature of writing in hip hop, so much of the writing could just be fairly abstract. It's more about rhyme and rhythm, keeping on rhyme, keeping on rhythm. So sometimes the thought process itself is not really logically coherent. It's just more about the feel and the rhymes of it. So these days, I'm more interested in spending time trying to put more message in the music and be a little more coherent to the topic at hand, or conceptually for the song. And the type of music that we make these days is more purpose driven, and it's definitely grounded in our faith, but it doesn't just stay right there. But I think if my voice is going to be heard by people listening to music, and there are people perhaps that are going through things in life like we all go through, I'm trying to aim for those people. I'm trying to aim for the people that need something from a song, that need something from a music, something that I can share from my own experience, or something that I can create that perhaps lets someone know going through a tough time that, hey, like we all go through this. You're not alone in this. So it's like the message of the music is paramount these days. And that is what I want to, with this group and the music we make, that's one of the main things that I want to do. I want to make sure that we're talking to the people who need to hear it.
Yeah, that's so powerful, because when it's rooted in spirituality and purpose driven, and like letting people know like you're not alone in what you're going through, but also very faith-based. I think that's so amazing, because it's great that you two came together and you shared the same vision and the same passion for this. So talk a little bit more about your spirituality and why that's important for you, for it to follow through in your music.
Well, I'm the son of a pastor, so I've been in church, like I said, my whole life. I think when I was around 22, I had I wouldn't say a crisis of faith, but I had a time where I had to really ask myself, well, why do I believe what I believe? Do I believe it because my parents like told me, or do I believe it for myself personally? And it all boiled down to when I prayed, and I prayed specifically in the name of Jesus, who is who I believe in. I got the answers that I needed. And I just tracked that all the way back to my youth. And so I have seen through my relationship with God, I've seen him change me. I've seen him use me to help change other people. And there's just, for us, it's not like, we're not naive to the worries and the struggles of this world. And we're not struggle free. But in those struggles, we have this hope. And that hope, to me, if I could describe the way it feels when I feel like the presence of God, is like, if you've ever been in love, whatever that feeling is of love, it's like overwhelming. It's like it makes you cry when you really feel it. And for me, I don't know how to hold that back and not share that with other people. So.
Yeah, and that's so beautifully said, and I love what you said about like crying, because there's been times I've been in church and like you know, the pastor says something and you're so moved and you're like, oh my gosh, and you start like weeping, or tears come down your face, and you're like, wait, do I let this out right now, or do I like kind of healed my face a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I want to talk about your debut single that came out in 2021, Born and Raised. Let's talk about the inspiration behind the song.
Well, that song, we had already gotten together as a group.
Uh-huh.
We actually had done another song that we did with D. Lyles, which will hopefully come out at another time. But we were thinking that was going to be our first single. We were really honed in on that. We had Wyatt from, I think he was a couple seasons after me. He was working on it. Wyatt Michael. Sounds like Frank Sinatra. He worked on it as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I was listening to other instrumentals during that time, and I came across that instrumental. And me and my wife had been having a lot of conversations about the process of me leaving The Voice. And so in that process of me leaving The Voice, I made decisions during that particular time that I could only describe as being, I made those decisions because of who I am.
Yeah.
And because of where I come from, this is why I do everything. And so that's where the song basically came from. Just talking about, you know, that we are who we are because of the influences that we've had in our lives and where we originated from, really. So it's like, if you watch the video for it, like on YouTube, the place where I'm standing, where I have like my cowboy hat on, right behind me is where I spent the first 13 years of my life. So
wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Justin?
So expanding on what he was just talking about, filming that video was like a peek into the beginning of Sam Woodbury. When I traveled to South Carolina to meet him when we did that video, I got to see where he grew up in all those spaces. So that part of it, for me to see, have some insight to where he came from was amazing. For me, you know, I was born in Houston, Texas. I'm from Texas, and all that musical landscape down there influenced me in some form or fashion, even if it's not necessarily the type of music I make. And so for me, a lot of my verse in that song is kind of like, I started in hip hop. I was born and raised in this hip hop scene. And a lot of what I did, it was kind of like cutting teeth. It was kind of learning. But at the same time, there was also a lot of failure and arrogance and not having purpose. I would like to think that I've always made music with message, but there was a lot of operating under my own strength. There was a lot of failure in some of those attitudes that we used to take in those moments. And so my piece of that song, my verse, is based on the idea that, like, this is where I came from and these are my failures. And now that I've done that and experienced that, and now I'm on this different path, I can look back and see, like, this is why that didn't work. You were moving under your own strength. You weren't moving with purpose. It was self-driven, group-driven. I want to sell records. I want to be seen, you know, and ultimately, because of all that, it didn't really work out. You know, spent a lot of years making music with not a lot to show for it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And, you know, that sort of interaction will make you bitter. It'll make you want to walk away from music. It'll make you not want to do it anymore. And so my meeting with Sam at that moment, when my wife put us together and we started working on that music, it inspired me to jump back in it and leave a lot of that other stuff behind. And now we find ourselves walking this path with purpose, with faith, and all of a sudden here we are. Look what's going on. God is doing all these things. It's not me. So what do we got? We got 2 videos out now, where we filmed a 3rd one today. You know, we merchandise, you know, hats, you know, interviews, you know what I mean? Like, these are all the things that perhaps I once wanted, and I was trying to grab them out. I was trying to get it. I was trying to do it under my own strength, and it just didn't work. Whereas now, you know, we let God take care of that, and we just do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I love how you guys met because, right? And I think in the music business, it's like, it's one of those really, really, really crazy businesses. And there's a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And a lot of people don't understand what musicians put into this, right? Like, you put your own money aside, like maybe you have 2 or 3 different jobs, and like you get the door slammed in your face, and then maybe you sign a contract, maybe the contract's bad, right? There's like all these like crazy things that could happen in your musical career. But I'm so glad you guys found each other, because I think people can do solo stuff, but they can also do stuff together. And you guys and your purpose, and just, I think it's just so beautiful that you guys have come together through all this and like use the power of God, but the songwriting and all that to really, you know, make a difference in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about living in different states, because Justin, I know you're in Texas, and Sam, you're a couple states away. So let's talk about when you guys write songs and you collab together. Like, do you prefer to be in person? I mean, is most of the stuff done over Zoom? Are you calling each other? Or are you like trying to see each other every month? Like, what does that look like?
It's lots of emails and Dropbox files is really what it is. You know, the beauty of it is technology, right? Technology, yeah. You know, if we want to jump on a Zoom call and lay out a song, we can do that. Yeah. He's got a beat. Hey, listen to this. What do you think of this? Yeah, you know, I like that. Oh, I just wrote this 4 bars. What do you think of this? Right. Emails back and forth, text messages, telephone calls, all those things. You know, folks that we work with, like Scott behind us here, instrumentalist, guitarist, you know, he works at a church. I serve at a church in my community. We're always surrounded by musicians. So it's, we got a lot of this stuff, but you're right. It would be a more optimum situation if we were in the same room together, but the nature of the way it is, that's just not the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. So we take the tools at hand, and we still put it together. And, you know, truth be told, the process takes a little longer, but at the end of the day, we still manage to put together final compositions, product, if you will, that we back 100% and we're happy with. So this is what we'll do until God makes a move otherwise, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about for you, Sam?
I don't know. I mean, I think he pretty much covered it really well. Being in the 2 different states, you know, like, I don't know. I think I've always been a person where I think one of my gifts might be seeing potential and being able to really invest in that. Mm-hmm. So when I see something and I see the potential and I get this vision like so clear of like what a song is supposed to be like, or what a video is supposed to be like, and all these different things. And so when it comes to me that clear, our relationship that we already established, it makes it really super easy. I lay down like a demo of some sort, or he'll lay down a demo of some sort, and we just share it with each other. I kind of get like, if he sends me something, his what like is his vision for it? What you like when you wrote this? What are you seeing? And it basically is the same thing from him, and then we write our own perspective on what that topic is.
Mm-hmm. So, do you guys talk or email every day?
No, I'd probably say maybe maybe every 2 weeks, maybe. Now, when we're in mode where we're just like grinding it out, we'll probably talk several times a week, but I wouldn't say every day, no.
Mm-hmm. So, because you guys are in the same place right now, you did a music video earlier. So I kind of like hush hush, like maybe we're not supposed to talk about it, but what can you tell us about the music video that you guys filmed today?
Solid.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So and you know, we can talk about some of it. The new single is going to be called Jesus. And the background of the topic is really one of Sam's visions, that so many people today use that name, use that word in incorrect context, as a curse word or a swear word or in vain or something of that nature. It's just part of the vernacular of culture that is outside of what it really means. And so that's the concept of the song. And we picked a really cool spot here in Louisville today. What's the
Hype Studios?
Hype Studios. We actually need to up them because the They're doing some really good things over there. It's just this old like paint storage warehouse that just has some real texture and flavor to it. And so we brought the band out. Scotty was there with us on the lead. You know what I mean? We had everybody there. We had how old is young man, Solomon?
He's 11.
Had an 11-year-old drummer in shades. I mean, I told him, like, hey, bro, you're the new band leader. You know what I'm saying? Him and his dad. So we had a whole squad out there for live band as a big piece of it. So it's almost like a live performance that we recorded. And for me, I'm such a mellow dude 99% of the time. The only time you really see me wild out is when it's time to perform. And I think he did that on purpose, honestly. That's what he wanted. So we got down today. It's like we performed live for a video camera. So
Cool.
yeah, it's gonna be good stuff. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. As we create a song, we create a video, we improve a little bit each time. It gets a little bit better each time, a little bit more creative each time. So this one, you know, it's coming down the pipeline pretty soon. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So, okay, an 11-year-old drummer.
Yeah, he's dope.
Okay. Kid, and you know, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. It's about potential and connections and all these different things. If nobody, when I was 3, 4, however I was, whenever I led the choir in my youth, if nobody put me up there, I wouldn't be here today. Right. So I feel like, especially with the youth these days, opportunities like that are like life-changing for them. And so we should give it to them whenever we can. Amazing.
And so that third single, it's called Jesus.
Yes.
Is the music video coming first or is the single coming first?
No, the plan, and that's what I'm saying. So like, because we're kind of like new to this whole process of how we're going to drop things, the plan for this one will be that the song comes out first, and then we wait a little bit, and then we drop the music video. So I will do it.
Awesome. So I want to talk about the recent single Bold that came out in January. And a couple people that are on this track were actually people that you worked with on The Voice, Sam. So did the track come first, or did you get this amazing group of people together and then the track came after? Like, talk to us about that.
The track came first. Again, just like with Born and Raised, there was supposed to be a different second single. Like we were working on it, and I usually don't listen to any other music at all when I'm in the writing process because I don't want to be influenced by anybody. Just wanted to be from us. And so there was a friend of mine from Maryland, and he had asked me several times before when I was in Maryland to check out his buddy that was doing some music. And so he sends me a link to their latest song. It was called Ad Lib from a group, Keller Varner. And I listened to it, and you know, I kind of dug the concept of life being like an ad lib in a song. You know, you never really know which way it's gonna go. And I listened all the way through it, and it got to the end, and they broke out into this like instrumental jam, and I was like, oh my God, like I wonder if they'll let us sample that. And so that day, my friend hooked me up with his friend, and we got together talking, and I told him my idea because I pretty much wrote like the first verse and chorus like that. And I can give you a little more background on the song if you want, but I wrote that, and then I called him and I said, this is the idea that I have for it. He said, cool. He put together from the stems of that instrumental, and the initial instrumental for Bold, and we ran from it from there. And then as the song went on and on, like I always want to include my voice family. So it's like when I hear an opportunity for unique voices to pop in there, I'm going for it. And so Todd Michael Hall, who is on the chorus with us, and Liam, Todd was like my best friend from The Voice. So he was like my first one. And then Liam has always been really, really cool. So we invited him too.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool. Like that collaboration was so amazing. So I think the style, there's a lot of different genres that I would pull into your music, like rock and hip hop and country. So like, how do you guys describe your sound?
So it's a blend. It's a blend of rock, hip hop, soul, country, and blues primarily. And I think all of that kind of mirrors who we are as people and as artists. Like, I'm a singer, he's a rapper, all of that stuff like that. So everything that comes out from Lightwater and Wilco will be a collaboration in every aspect, from the beat being 2 genres mixed together, maybe 3, like this next one, and so forth and so on.
Awesome. So, guys, what are you currently listening to music-wise?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I always have an ear to the streets for, I mean, yes, hip hop, yes, rap music, but I'm always trying to hear the ones that are really, in my mind, doing it on that next level. A lot of music with message, a lot of conscious thought to what's going on in society. So for me, I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. I really like a lot of J. Cole. I love me some Run the Jewels, Killer Mike and LP. You know, that group right there is 2 dudes who used to be doing some rap things and then came together to form a completely different thing. And I mean, that's right up my alley, really. Totally. So like cats like Killer Mike is a huge influence on me right now, not only musically, but socially as well. You know, talking about things going on in society and how we can be different. Obviously the Sunday Morning Fair, you know, Elevation, Maverick City, you know, I love all that. And then, you know, there's always the old school stuff. There's the stuff that my father influenced. I love some Led Zeppelin. I love some Beatles, you know, so all that stuff. And, you know, who doesn't love 80s synth pop? You know what I'm saying? You'll find some of that in there as well. I mean, that's the beauty of, like, you know, like you can jump on Spotify or YouTube right now. You can just run the whole gamut in an hour. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
How about talk to me about 80s synth pop, because I love that whole, like, honestly, the Sirius XM channel that I love is called First Wave, and it's like Duran Duran, Talking Heads, and I love that whole like new wave thing. So who do you like in that genre?
Oh, I mean, you said Talking Heads. Talking Heads is one of my favorite. I love David Byrne, but you know, some of those you know, like any of the songs you might have seen in, like, say, like 16 Candles, or, you know, some of the Brat Pack movies from the 80s, and, you know, some David Bowie, some you know, some Aha, you know, isn't that what Aha?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not talking out of turn here, but yeah, all the
Aha. Every time someone talks about Aha, I think of the music video, because it was white and it was drawing, and the white and the black. So I always think about the music video when I think of Aha.
Absolutely. I think everyone does. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was really when music videos were really coming into their own, when like places like MTV actually played videos. You know, so yeah, we definitely had a lot of visual representation in that.
How about for you, Sam?
Well, like you said, I work at a church. I'm the worship pastor, or one of the worship pastors for our church. So pretty much we have to either learn a new song very often, or I'm always getting my team ready for Sunday. So I listen to a lot of worship music throughout the week. And again, I really feel like this year is like the year of us creating content. So I really don't listen to a whole lot of other people while I'm in the writing process. We just went to California with Scott and his wife, and so we jammed a whole bunch of oldies, and so that was cool. So stuff like that.
Nice. Now, Justin, you said Kendrick Lamar, and I know you're like really big into 90s hip hop. So did you guys watch the Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah. Yes, we did.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was great. I heard someone say recently that hip hop is one of the only genres that kind of puts its artists out to pasture when they become a certain age and when they get older, whereas like so many other genres of music don't do that. Classic rock guys still move around with the respect that they had when they were young in the game. So for us to see like a Dre or a Snoop, Kendrick participating with them, you know, Eminem, etc., that's big to me, because, you know, I was rapping when I was 19. I'm 44 now. I'm still rapping, and there's no reason why I should stop just based on my age. I mean, maybe my content and what I talk about changes a little bit because I'm a little older, a little more mature, but yeah, I love it. I love seeing the legends get their due respect.
Yeah, and I love that it was like the Dre show, because I like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we all had this vision of what we thought it was going to be, and then it was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I was telling a couple people the other day, I was like, it was way too short because all of those performers individually could have held their own at the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was only one song. Like, think of how many songs between all of them that they could have, you know, performed, right?
Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
Sam, what did you think?
I thought it was really cool. I'm a visual person,
Yeah.
so it was like I was listening to the music, but there was a lot of stuff going on in those little squares. So I was trying to see like what was going on in the little squares. I don't know if you noticed, but like on the ground, it was like a bird's eye view of the streets. I'm guessing of LA.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, so that was so they were on top of and inside of different buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From I'm guessing in California, they're famous or whatever. And so on the bottom, it was like the road map signs or whatever, the maps from above. And so I thought stuff like that was cool, but
I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It's a serious production, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was solid.
Yeah, well, because I know you guys love 90s music, and so people either loved it or hated it, but I'm like, if you hated it, like, we cannot talk, okay? That was phenomenal. Like I said, all those performers in their own right are such legendary, incredible, iconic performers who made such an incredible career out of, you know, music. So
Yeah.
So let's talk about success. What does success mean to you guys?
See, that's tricky for me because what I talked about earlier in my past music attempts, success was the supposed driving factor.
Yeah.
And being too focused on it and failing turns the whole thing around, and it can put you feeling some kind of way.
Yeah.
So when I think of success, I just want to think that we've accomplished what we set out to do. I no longer want to tie my motivations or what I'm trying to achieve to the definition of success in society. Oh, what is success? Oh, I signed a record deal. Oh, I made a bunch of money. I got a gold chain. I got a thing. I got, you know, materialistic things. If I tie my interpretation of success to that, I've already failed. So success for me is when we set out to do a song, for instance, we keep it narrow and straight. This is the song. This is the topic at hand. What are we going to do? We complete that song. That song is out, mixed and mastered. This video is on YouTube. People are seeing it. Like the bowl that we just dropped, for just a split second, we were like number 14 on the, the Christian gospel charts or something. Yeah. That's unheard of. Like, we just, you know. Yeah. So, like, I'm not necessarily trying to achieve, like, chart numbers, but if we just focus on what it is we need to do, like I said, the rest of it kind of takes care of itself.
How about for you, Sam?
For me, success is, I feel like we have been given this opportunity for a purpose. And that purpose is to reach people who Justin used to be. That's like our primary audience, people who either don't know God or kind of like on the fence about it and they're not really sure. Anybody after that is like great. We have like a Bible verse that I think really sums it all up, and it kind of is like our thing. And Paul, he said, I became all things to all people so that in doing so I might save some. And so it's not this grand vision of reaching millions of people. I think when I started out kind of thinking about all of this, it was like, I just want to reach everybody. Now I just want to reach the sum for whoever this music is meant for. That, for me, is success.
Love that. So what do you guys enjoy about working with one another?
Ooh. I mean, you know, it's working with a brother, first and foremost. I mean, the dude is my brother. That's what that is. I don't have any earthly brothers. I have an older sister. I have an older sibling. I'm the younger brother. So I don't have any blood-related brothers, but I got a lot of brothers from another, if you will. And he's definitely one of them. And I think more importantly, I know one of the first things that stuck out to me when he and I started working together, and I was just helping him record some of the music that he had, I would be sitting in front of the speakers and working the computer and doing the thing, and he would be in the booth, and I'd just be like, this voice that's coming out of these speakers, this is almost too easy. It's like cheating. Like, you know, we're rappers. We don't sing. We don't have a lot of instrumental talent in the sense. It's more about the rhythm and the writing and so forth. So when I sat there, I was just like, wow, like, this is amazing. Like, I don't have to do a lot to make this sound good. Yeah. And so when it comes to that, man, working with this guy and just kind of being the, I don't know, engineer behind the scenes, mixing, etc. Like, it's just so much fun because he's got a lot of God-given talent. And, you know, I love just waiting to see what comes out of the speakers, you know?
Definitely. How about for you, Sam?
I echo the brother thing. This is my brother. I love this dude. And I think for me, the reward or what I really get out of working with him that I really love is that in all songs and everything, all music, everything we do together, it's like if God has given me a vision to reach or mission to reach people, I'm looking at what happens when I go after that vision. And every time I do a song with him, like today, we were doing a video, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but like his wife, she was watching and she was crying. And she's crying because for so long, she just wanted him to know the joy that she had. And now he does. And so working with him is like getting to see the promise of God fulfilled over and over and over again.
That's amazing, though. And I think it's in that moment when you see somebody doing what they love that you know that they're like meant to be and put on this earth to do is like speak the word of God and like write and just keep going with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. I love it. So for all the beautiful people watching right now, how can they support Lightwater and Wilco? What can these guys do in the chat?
Well, we pinned right there in the chat where you can follow us on DistroKid. That link leads to all of the information for our last single, Bold. But if you go to that, it'll take you to our YouTube channel where you can follow us on YouTube, take you to our Instagram channel. You can follow us on Instagram. And just when we start putting out this pre-save information for the songs, if you would please just go ahead and pre-save it. Because like you said earlier in it, Ashley, like, we don't necessarily do this to gain money, but we believe in the calling that we have. And the only way to keep it going is with money. So it's like when people purchase merchandise, which we're about to start dropping our merchandise, when they purchase a pre-save and all these different things, they just add on to us being able to keep doing what we've been called to do.
Yeah, and the thing with merch is like when someone sees like a hat or a shirt you're wearing and they're like, what does that mean? And then it sparks a conversation. It's like, you don't know who this is?
Exactly.
Like, let me put you onto it.
Exactly.
So other than the DistroKid link, Instagram, Spotify, where else can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram, Lightwater and Wilco. So I like it's Lightwater _and _Wilco. You can follow us on YouTube. You just type in Lightwater and Wilco. You'll see the circle with our initials. Click on that and subscribe. That's pretty much it. And Spotify. You can follow us on Spotify as well. That'd be awesome.
All streaming platforms, iTunes, Apple Music, anywhere people get music, it's on there. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's all the questions that I have for you guys this evening. But you guys are going to perform for us.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Get into it.
Good. Make moves. We gotta crank that thing up.
It's already up.
Space bar.
Yep.
This is our first single, Born and Raised.
Lightwater and Wilco. Live with Ashley. I'm Lightwater from the great state of Texas. Sam WILCO, South Carolina. To everybody out there in the South, supporting the music, doing the thing. We appreciate you.
Follow me. Down this old dirt road, a little brick church is barely exposed, surrounded by love and a former seal. It's where I learned the Savior revealed. Glad for the lessons, impressions, and faith I received. It made me. Can't imagine growing and shown in some other story. I'm so glad I was and raised. Treat people right and walk in the light, yeah. And raised. You receive, pray and believe.
I was born and raised, Texas state of mind, torn from the page, lettered in the rhyme. Beats receive calm, beat take shape, find our peace, lay into the grave. Thorn in my side, arrogance and pride. Lesson I was tasting, wasting precious time. Blood, sweat, and tears, laboring in vain. All this pain for the way we could be saved. Taking forth the story, picture of the glory, footing in the world, distorted by the worry, holding on the vision, driven in the trap, in the lack of lenses, taken by the trap. Every time we dare to dream, kneel before the King, lift our praise, every voice ring. To his will, fill the void and hold us down. Raised to believe we will wear a crown.
And raised, treat people right, walk in the light, yeah. And raised, give you receive, pray and believe. Yeah. Oh. That's that one.
Woo! Born and raised.
You want us to go right into the next one?
Yep, do your thing.
Okay.
How do I advance the curtain just a little bit? You just hit space bar to play.
This is our second single, Bold. Just came out a couple months ago.
In the jaws of the beast, trying to knock my peace, standing bold as brass, and I'm holding fast, molded by the king on the throne, singing praises, praising as we bringing it home, slinging stone.
Finally awoken, everything's coming into focus. Wide screens up, got the big picture. I'm not gonna waste another moment. I've got everything I need. I don't have anything to worry about. As long as I'm his, I'm confident. It is all good and I'm going all out. And yes, I really do believe that I'm gonna be what he says I will be. No doubt in the will at all. The writing's on the wall. I'm following the plan, y'all. Targeted by that old boy, but I ain't backing down. No, sir, I'm not playing. Microphones like a slinging stone. Out here waiting for the kingdom. Go!
Running this race at the pace prescribed. Praying my desires be what God designed. Keeping my mind, body, spirit aligned. I take the gift God gave, then I stay on grind. For every Goliath that's trying, strength of the Messiah. Flying every stone I sling. When giants fall, we can stand tall. Deeds echo through eternity. Eternally, you're learning me.
Yes, I really do believe that I'm gonna be what he says I will be. No doubt in the will at all. The writing's on the wall. I'm following the plan, y'all. Targeted by that old boy, but I ain't backing down. No, sir, I'm not playing. Microphone like a slinging stone. Out here waiting for the kingdom. And I will not be afraid when no weapons formed against me. Cause I know, he's with me everywhere that I go. And yes, I really do believe that I'm gonna be what he says I will be. No doubt in the will at all. The writing's on the wall. I'm following the plan, y'all. Targeted by that old boy, but I ain't backing down. No, sir, I'm not playing. Microphone like a slinging stone. Out here waiting for the kingdom. Oh. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Better believe
I'm always a conqueror. Let's get it. And I will not be afraid. And I will not be afraid. And I will not be afraid. And I will not be afraid.
Woo!
when the giants fall, let no pride fill your space, cause when a titan falls, another takes its place. Bold.
Woo! Gotta be
Thank
honest,
you.
guys. I've had a lot of people on this show, like over 150 episodes, and that was one of the most energetic performances I've ever had on this show. Because most people, when they perform, they just like sit, like I'm sitting, right? And I was like, I feel like I need to get up. But you know, I'm just like sitting over here and bopping and stuff. That was so awesome, and thank you guys so much for performing your singles. And people in the chat are saying yes. Chris Mutt says, I will not be afraid. Veronica says yes. Yes, thank you.
Those are our wives.
Yes. Oh, thank you to the wives.
Yeah.
Happy Women's History Month. Thank you to the beautiful wives. So, guys, if you're in the chat right now and you have questions for Lightwater and Wilco, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. So, guys, it's 2022. What can the beautiful people in the chat look forward to from you guys this year?
Well, you want to go?
Yeah, I got you.
There you go.
So we've been approaching this music so far as these individual singles. We're about to, you just heard the first and second. We're working on the third now. And we'll probably get a few more songs under our belt, but the idea is to work towards an EP.
Yeah.
And so, Lord willing, by the time this year is out, the material that we need to accomplish that will be in place and have a project, if you will, to kind of present to the people. And along with that comes, you know, like a physical copy, which is kind of rare these days, but something, call it a collectible. But the idea is that we want to have that in place. We want to have something to stand behind. We want to have an EP, an album, something that fans can tangibly hold on to and say, you know, this is them. This is the guys I like. This is that collector's item that goes along with all that vinyl or however you listen to music. So to keep pushing creation, merch is coming. We have some. I'm just going to do a very shameless plug.
Yes.
Lightwater Wilco emblem.
Yes.
And I will not be afraid.
Yes.
This glows in the dark.
Oh, glows in the dark. Yes.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
Nice.
Obviously the hats, you know, custom hats, etc. We'll have some hats with the group logo as well, but just trying to really get it out there. I mean, obviously the business side of music is always about branding and merchandise and product, etc. And so, you know, there's a piece of this that we obviously have to treat as a business, but it's so much bigger than that. Like the foundation of where we started and what it is we're trying to do, we're really trying to push that forward. And, you know, like one of the songs he was talking about earlier that we haven't released yet that has D. Lyles from The Voice, D. Lyles, what's happening, collaboration. And, you know, we involve these people as background vocalists or like Scott as a guitarist or, you know, like that is what excites me about music is bringing people together to create something that we can put out to the world. So, I mean, that's to me, that's 2022 in a nutshell.
Yeah. And we'll be doing hopefully in the fall, by that time we'll have 4 singles under our belt, Lord willing. And we want to like set up in a field somewhere and do like an acoustic live type session or whatever. And so we'll do that as well. Maybe it's like an acoustic live concert kind of deal. We're still working it out, but basically this year is about building content, making a strong presence of who we are and getting that set for where we go into 2023, Lord willing.
Yeah, definitely. I think content is so important when you're starting out and you want people to know who you are. You want them to know your story and fall in love with you and buy the merch and support. So other than just following you guys on DistroKid and all these other things, what can other people do to support you guys in the musical journey?
You know, our YouTube page pretty much has every piece of video, not only the songs, but there's some really good interview episodes that our one of our video guys, D-Mac, put together. It's multi-part interview, really digs into who we are, where we come from, etc. Really well done. So if people are really trying to understand who we are, that's a good place to start. It's always nice to have like video visuals to go along with music. But I mean, support-wise, listen to music, share. Like,
Yeah.
subscribe, as the kids say these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so important to share music, add it to playlists, tell people what you're listening to. And that's why I always like to ask the question, like, what are you guys listening to? Because sometimes when I ask that question, people say, like, oh, just my friends, like, just local to, like, the Austin area or whatever. But I think it's really cool when someone's like, oh, yeah, like, I listened to the first Dre album because I saw the Super Bowl performance, and I was like, oh, I really want to know who Dre is. So I love that question because I think it's so important to just tell people what you're supporting and listening to. And I love when musicians tell their fans, this is what you can do to support us on this journey that we're on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything that you would like to tell the beautiful people watching right now?
Just, you tuning in. As always, we greatly appreciate y'all. We're doing this for you, but we are also doing it, like we said earlier, to reach whoever this group of people is that the Father has for us to reach. So
Right.
Keep supporting us in the way that you've been supporting us, and help us to reach every single one of those people. And we love y'all. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would go a little step further than that. Obviously, family, friends, supporters, fans, we love all y'all. We appreciate every lick of what you do for us. But to circle back around to the fact that strong women, real talk, none of this would be taking place without a strong woman supporting each and every one of us as well.
Yeah.
My wife, his wife, we could connect some dots and map out an entire story about how they are integral in us being here at this moment. So if you didn't hear anything else, deuce to my wife, strong women everywhere. It's nice to have a praying woman backing you up and being your cheerleader.
Oh, I honestly don't even know what to say after that, because I feel like we started with Women's History Month and celebrating beautiful and strong, incredible women. I feel like we're ending on that note too. Like, it's just such a beautiful thing. And I love how you guys support the beautiful people in your life, but you also build the women up in your life. It's so, so, so important. And guys, if you're in this chat right now, please tell the women in your life how much you love and appreciate them. Like, not just in Women's History Month, but every single day, because women need to be appreciated, and men need to be appreciated too, but women more.
I'm good with it.
So guys, I just want to say thank you so much for spending your Saturday evening with me. You guys could have been anywhere, but you chose to come on this show, share your story, and talk about the beautiful music that you guys are creating and changing lives one day at a time. And I'm so very proud of you guys. I'm so excited to see where this journey takes you. And please come back on the show anytime you guys have anything you need to promote. And sending you all the good vibes of the world. Guys, if you don't already, please make sure to follow Lightwater and Wilco. The link for DistroKid is right here. Sam's IG is there. Spotify, YouTube. The merch is coming out soon. The music video is today. Just a lot of awesome stuff coming up for 2022. So follow my guys down here. And guys, if you don't already, please make sure to follow me. I'm Ashley Live. This is Vibe with Ashley Live. Support good music. Be nice. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a great night, guys.
You too.